Every school has secrets, but some are far darker than anyone wants to believe. Tonight, you'll hear 3 disturbing true high school horror stories that students still refuse to talk about after dark. What if your school locker suddenly disappeared and something impossible took its place? It was a rainy Tuesday at Lincoln High, and junior Emily had stayed late for her art club. The halls were eerily empty, and the fluorescent lights flickered intermittently. She hurried to her locker to grab her sketchbook and froze. The locker she had always used was gone. In its place was a strange, older metal locker, rusted and unnumbered. Curiosity overtook her fear. She opened it, expecting dust or forgotten books, but inside she found her own school ID card, dated from 10 years ago, alongside a crumpled note that read, "Don't be late." Her stomach turned cold. Suddenly, the sound of lockers slamming echoed through the hallway. Emily spun around. The corridor was empty, yet the noises grew closer. She slammed the mysterious locker shut and ran to the office, but the receptionist looked at her confused. "There's no locker like that here," the receptionist said. Emily insisted, but the staff shook their heads. When she returned the next day, the locker was gone entirely, and the wall was solid metal where it had been. Years later, students still whisper about the ghostly locker, appearing only for those who are about to vanish from school records forever. Emily never stayed late again. A new substitute teacher arrived at school, and somehow he knew secrets no one had ever told him. It was a typical Monday when a new substitute teacher arrived at Westbrook High. At first, the students thought he was strict, but not unusual. By the 3rd hour, whispers began. He seemed to know personal details about students, things no one had shared with him. During class, he asked one student, Kevin, to come forward. He mentioned Kevin's childhood fear of being trapped in small spaces, a detail Kevin had never told anyone. Kevin laughed nervously, thinking it was coincidence. But then the substitute handed him a small locked box with the words, "Open before midnight." Kevin's hand shook as he tried to ignore it. That night, he dreamed of a dark figure following him through the empty school halls. The next morning, the substitute was gone. The box remained on Kevin's desk, but now it contained only a folded piece of paper. "Next time, I might not leave it behind." Several students reported seeing the man at different schools months later, always knowing things he shouldn't. To this day, no one knows who he was, or how he knew so much. Imagine walking home alone when you get a text saying, "I see you," from someone you've never met. Samantha was walking home after a late detention at Roosevelt High when her phone buzzed. She received a text from an unknown number. "I see you." She laughed nervously and ignored it. Minutes later, another text arrived. "Right behind you." Heart racing, she spun around. The empty street stretched in both directions. She quickened her pace, but the messages kept coming, each one closer and more urgent. When she finally reached her house, she ran inside and locked the doors. Her phone buzzed again. "I'm inside." Panic consumed her. She called the police, but by the time they arrived, there was no one, except for muddy footprints leading from her front yard to her window. The next day, her friends told her something chilling. Several students had received identical texts that night, all from the same unknown number. None of them ever discovered who had sent the messages, or why the texts always stopped as suddenly as they began. Samantha still avoids walking alone after school, fearing that whatever followed her that night might be watching from the shadows. If you enjoy true horror stories like this, like, share, subscribe, and hit the notification button to see more.